This is Lightning Power Lunch, presented by Reif Rum on the Lightning Audio Network with Dave Mishkin and Greg Linnelli.
We've played some phenomenal hockey, for the first 55 games, and for whatever reason, we went to a 3-week Olympic break, and I don't know, we've kind of lost our way a little bit, and ultimately, we've put ourselves in a pretty good position through 55 games. Naturally, we do this, or the way we're playing right now, it's not the way we want to play or how we have played. So we know that we have it in us. But it is a perfect example. We have an offensive zone face-off in a 0-0 game. We win the face-off, and it's in our net within 6 or 7 seconds after that. So, and then it was, we got a little fragile after that, and then we started giving up chances that normally we don't give up. So we'll be fine, and we've got a great group in there. Sometimes you get judged by your wins and losses, and right now it's we've been trending down since this break. But if there's a group I want to stand behind, it's the one in that locker room over there. So sometimes you just got to learn the hard way, and that's where we are right now.
That is true. Learning the hard way. It's part of sports. It's part of life. Lightning certainly have been there, done that. Need some wins, though. They don't want to have this sour taste linger. Trade deadline is approaching, and we will keep you up to date on what's happening. Already seeing some trades trickle in. Some interesting ones that I'm sure Mish and I are going to be breaking down for the next hour at Bolts Radio if you want to get involved in that conversation. Not a great game. I think that goes without saying, and the goal that the Coop referenced, I think, particularly was disappointing, when you have an offensive zone face-off, and I think, Mish, you mentioned that on the game call as well. So, when it rains, it pours. Offense wasn't clicking either. I'm not sure they generated a ton of great scoring chances last night, and again, you're going to have games like that. We've found out and told everybody on the show, Dominic James out for quite a bit, and maybe there was a component to that. Don't know. But I think we sound like a broken record, partner, but all we keep saying is you can't let this linger. You can't let this linger. And at some point, you're going to have to put your foot down and say no more. It's going to be a tough challenge this weekend to get some wins for sure. Buffalo, by the way, made some trades that we can get into as well. But disappointing, I think, for them, and they want to right the ship tomorrow.
Yeah, we have our eye on the trade tracker to see if anything drops. I mean, we're live today, noon. Trade deadline's at 3. Sometimes trades are announced publicly after 3. They've been completed, but they haven't been, the paperwork still needs to get into the league. It's arrived. The league is processing it, in other words. So trades have happened, but we haven't learned about them yet. So sometimes they're announced after 3 o'clock. We'll see if the Lightning are able to do anything. I think they'd like to. But we can certainly start with last night's game. And so 4 straight losses for the Lightning. They had some bad defensive performances in the first 2 in particular, where they were leaky. They gave up too many chances. They gave up too many goals in the losses at Carolina and at home against Buffalo. And they weren't great defensively against Minnesota, but as we said after that game, they were marginally better defensively than in the previous 2 games. They didn't have a great defensive game last night, but in some ways, this was, to me, the worst of the 4 performances. And it wasn't that they gave up, 45 shots and 25 scoring chances. They did give up some odd mans. They did give up some chances. They ended up giving up 4 goals. 5, but they got 1 taken away due to an offside challenge. 1 was an empty netter, but that's still too many. The problem with their game last night, especially in the first 40 minutes, just the puck play was as poor as we have seen it.
Yeah.
Maybe all year. I mean, I know that that's probably too broad of a stroke. I may be forgetting some games in the first couple of weeks of the season. They could not execute a play out of their own end for long stretches in the first 2 periods. It got better in the third, and we can address what we saw in the third period. And so, like, the problem right now is they're giving up too many goals, but they're also not scoring enough. Like, they've only scored 1 goal in each of the last 2 games, 2 goals total.
Yeah.
One reason why they're not generating offense, they don't have the puck. Last night they didn't have the puck because they couldn't make a play with the puck. And I know that that's kind of putting it in stark terms, but I mean, I think that that's actually fair. They'd get the puck in the defensive zone and they'd fail to clear it. They'd get the puck in the defensive zone, they'd put it right on the stick of a Winnipeg player. They'd get the puck in the defensive zone, they'd miss on an outlet to go for an icing. They get the puck in the defensive zone, it went off a stick out of play, it stayed in their own end. Actually had a pretty good first period in the circle, but they ended up losing the face-off battle. And so in the second period, it was especially pronounced because they kept having face-off after face-off after face-off in their own end, and they couldn't win the draw. So Winnipeg was able to control it. The Jets weren't really, like, the Jets were there for the taking last night. We talked about the dangerous combo of Scheifele and Connor. They were dangerous. But the Lightning didn't really push on Winnipeg for much of the first 2 periods. Winnipeg was like, okay. I mean, I give Winnipeg credit. You know, Winnipeg won some puck battles. They did what they need to do to, like, hold pucks in. But I didn't really feel like Winnipeg was all over the Lightning. It was more that the Lightning were, you know, use this expression sometimes, Keystone Cops. Like, they could knock it out of their own way. Like, it's pretty hard to play well at the NHL level if you can't execute a tape-to-tape pass. And for long stretches in the game last night, that's what we saw. We didn't see that, actually, against Carolina and Buffalo. If you remember, like, they scored 4 goals against Carolina. They had some plays with the puck that were dangerous, and Luukkonen was quite good in the game against the Lightning. The Sabres were better. I mean, the Sabres were slicing up the Lightning in terms of what the Lightning weren't able to do defensively. But the Lightning did some things that were positive with the puck and forced Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen to make good saves. They were just so off last night. And that preceded the first goal, which Coop is right. You have an offensive zone faceoff, a rare one in the second period. Actually, in the first period and the second period, they started okay in both. And it was right around the first TV timeout, so you're not really talking about much, 5-6 minutes. Once we got past that first TV timeout, Winnipeg basically controlled the rest of the first period, controlled the rest of the second period. Lightning get an offensive zone faceoff fairly late in the second period, under 5 minutes left. Braden Point wins the faceoff, and the Lightning lose the puck. Tanner Pearson made one of 2 really good plays last night to lead Winnipeg up the ice, or at least to goals for Winnipeg. And he got in on Moser, basically forced it out to center ice, and then kind of got in Moser's way, took out Moser. I mean, it wasn't interference, but he took himself out too. The problem was the Lightning didn't have a forward back either. So it was Radish and 2 Winnipeg players, and they had the shot, save, rebound, goal on the 2-on-1. And then the one at the end of the second period was kind of the same deal, where the Lightning had the puck in the offensive zone, lost control, Winnipeg counters, Lightning are messed up with their tracking, and Scheifele gets an open look from the left circle and is able to put it in. That's a killer goal with 18 seconds left. But what I noticed after the first goal went in, and I think he even said it on the air, was the word that John Cooper used, fragile. It's like that first goal went in and the Lightning unraveled even more. But you can't make the argument that they were playing well before the first goal. The third period was by far their best period. I know they gave up 3 goals. 1 was taken off due to the offside challenge. But they played with more urgency. They were more decisive with the puck. They generated some chances. Hellebuck wasn't busy last night, but he did make some isolated saves, key saves in the first 2 periods. He was more under pressure in the third period. He was good, as he usually is. Gave up a goal to Point on the power play, but he stopped everything else that the Lightning threw at him. I think they finished with 12 or 13 shots in the third period. So they had chances to get back in the game in the third period. Actually, they finished with 15 third period shots. They might have had 1 or 2 late. And they made it 2-1, but kind of like the Minnesota game, they gave the goal back soon after. this wasn't a muff by Vasilevsky, but it was Pontus Holmberg, who's been one of the most reliable defensive players the Lightning have had this year and very strong on the puck. Tanner Pearson pushed him off the puck in the defensive zone, went to Taves. Lightning now are out of position, and Nyquist, who hadn't scored a goal all year, but has scored in his career before. Like, he has some offensive talent. He went into the top of the net, and it was 3-1, and you could just feel like, are you kidding me? Like, this is going to be a tough mountain to climb up. Although the Lightning did generate chances. I mean, Kucherov and Point actually off the rush had a little bit of a 2-on-0, and Hellebuck made a really good save. He was sharp last night. So that was the game in a nutshell for me. The Lightning were really subpar with their puck play in the first 40 minutes and probably got what they deserved, a multi-goal deficit. They tried to battle back in the third period. It was good to see them play with some jam and some juice and some urgency, but they were pressing, and because they were pressing, they gave up some counters, even though none of those went in the net. The one that went in the net was a D-zone turnover again, where, Tanner Pearson made a play. Like, he checked Holmberg off the puck and stole it, and Nyquist had a finish. So it's kind of like it's building right now. Like, the losing is feeding on itself, so that when the Lightning take a little bit of a gut punch, they're not able to push back as well as they were able to when they were winning games. So it's kind of a wash, rinse, repeat, Greg. Like, we're going on the show again. We're saying, like, the Lightning have to play better, and they're going to have to play better if they hope to turn it around. But to turn it around, like, they need to play better to turn it around, and once they turn it around, that will help them play better. But right now, we're in the other cycle. They're not playing well, which is extending the losing streak, and the losing streak is weighing on them and leading to them continuing to not play well, if that makes sense. So they face a team that's also scuffling big time. Toronto has not won a game since the Olympic break. They got a point, I think, in one of the games with a shootout loss. But it's a tough back-to-back. Buffalo is absolutely rolling. They're the opponent on Sunday. So we'll see if the Lightning can at least get one win this weekend. Again, they don't need a ton of points to kind of settle things down here and secure their playoff spot, but they do need points. As I said, like, they're not gonna just sit at 80 and get in the playoffs. So they're gonna need to turn things around and start picking things up.
What do we got here? Steve's sending us a text. Let me pull it up. Elliot Friedman, anytime he does it. Corey Perry to Tampa Bay from LA.
That's interesting.
I feel like Perry's in double digit for goals this year.
Yeah. It's interesting LA would move him. Well, the contract is not onerous, and he can play in the bottom six. He's not a center.
Corey Perry.
I wonder if we'll see him on the power play, Greg, for the Lightning.
Maybe.
We'll see.
I don't know, partner. That's interesting. All right.
Let's not forget, he made the final the last 2 years with Edmonton. That was a pretty big part of their team. So,
I mean, listen, $2 million this year, Corey Perry.
So the Lightning did do something.
I'm
not sure that was
done.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Corey Perry's a good player. He still is. I don't know if it moves the needle. I'm not knocking it. I mean, certainly we know he's good and tight.
Mm-hmm.
He's another veteran guy. Isn't the fastest player. So where does that, fit in? But he wasn't fast when he was with the Lightning before. So
let me just say this,
I'm
Greg.
not
This
sure.
upgrades the Lightning's bottom six. It does. I mean, when you're looking at the level of experience and pedigree that they're putting out there in the bottom six right now, Corey Perry is an upgrade. How will he be used? And I think he's versatile enough that they can use him in actually a variety of ways. And Edmonton did that the last couple of years. At times, he was playing on the top power play. He was out on 6-on-5 when Edmonton pulled the goalie, right? But he was primarily in that bottom six role. And he's a playoff performer. I mean, he is. So
It's just interesting because I think a lot of people looked at the depth forward position and said, okay, are you going to tinker with the Yanni Gourde line from this? Probably not, even though I know they've struggled, but get in line of those who have struggled. Nick Paul's been injured, so I don't think we've really been able to see essentially what he can do. I mean, ideally, what would your let's call it third line be, partner, if everybody's healthy, assuming the Gourde line is your fourth line? And you can that's semantics, I understand.
It is semantics.
But if Paul is a centerman on a line, when you take a look at, is Gonsalves now slotting in the third line when he comes back healthy? Is this more of, look, James is out, so we need somebody, maybe to take that spot somewhere? Mm-hmm. Somebody, who's this? Jason says, guess the Bolts are losing in the finals now. Corey Perry jinx.
Well, look, he helped them get to the final. I'll say that in 2022. They did go on the first round, which
so
was
did you
his
see
second
this?
year with the team.
Frank Saravelli is saying the Kings are getting a second-round pick.
Yeah. Look, based on, teams are trading, I will say, fairly high draft picks to get, we'll call them depth forwards. We're seeing that. Colorado gave up a first and a fifth to get Nick Waugh. Fogle went for a fairly high draft pick. Michael Bunting, they went for a third-round draft pick. Cole Smith went for a third-round draft pick. So, I mean, I'm not shocked by that. But, good for Corey Perry. He's turning 41. I think he has a May birthday, but he turns 41 this year. And he is a proven playoff performer. So, look, the deal is made. He will be a part of the Lightning's team moving forward. I think he does upgrade their bottom six. We'll see if Julian's done. It'll be interesting to see how they make the $2 million work. They may need to send somebody down to create a little bit of money here, because we heard they were up against the cap. May 16th is Perry's birthday. So the Lightning hope that he'll be celebrating his birthday while their season is still ongoing.
They all come in now. It's interesting. We may get more, but look, Corey Perry, I don't know if it moves the needle for a ton. I'm not upset about it.
No.
I think he helps the team. I think it's just a matter of how much do you think he helps the team? So,
well, Eric on the show yesterday did say that he felt Julien would do something, but he didn't think it would be a big splash, and this would check both those boxes.
That is correct.
But right now, the Lightning, I mean, whether they may have made this deal had they won 5 straight coming out of the Olympic break, who knows? But it is clear right now they are out of sync, and we'll see if Perry's return to the Lightning will help them get back in sync.
Bye. Little in sync. The group at Bolts Radio. If you want to get involved, let's see here. What do we have? Jim says at this rate, bring back Coleman and Goodrow. Sure, why not? FKA 322. He says they should get Maroon out of retirement while they're at it. So, a little tongue in cheek here, partner. I think people saying, is this the move that the Lightning are going to make? Look, they still could do something. Let's not I don't want to say panic, but overreact and see what happens there. This question.
By the way, I want to mention, because we didn't say it on the show yesterday, Douglas was put on waivers yesterday. So we're going to find out at 2 o'clock if he clears. Again, as I mentioned, Utah, because it's the same year the Lightning claimed him from Utah. Utah can claim Douglas back and send him directly to the minors.
I guess the question would be, we'll know how much they want Douglas, because why wouldn't you just claim him and send him to the minors?
And that is the main reason why he was not put on. I mean, that was a consideration for putting somebody else through waivers as opposed to Douglas. I think people were asking, we were off the air at the point that this happened, I think, because we were into the Olympic break, but Jack Finley was put on waivers. St. Louis claimed him. People might be wondering, well, why do they put Finley on waivers and not Douglas on waivers. Well, Finley might have slipped through waivers. There was a greater likelihood that Finley would have gotten through waivers than Douglas, because Utah can just claim Douglas back and not keep him in the NHL. But now they did put Douglas on waivers. So we'll see. Unless I have the rule wrong, but I remember when the Lightning claimed him, it was explained to us that this lasts for the rest of the season, basically.
Yeah.
That Utah has this privilege, basically, of reclaiming a player that they lost earlier in the season on waivers. Another team could claim him too. That is possible. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
But it may be,
Why wouldn't
part
you
of,
claim
like, they're looking to create more cap space, too. This move was made in advance of the deadline where they're looking to create a little cap space. If Perry makes 2, I mean, I can open Puckpedia and see what it says about the Lightning's cap space situation. I'm a little fuzzy in the whole long-term injury. The Lightning have burned some money with injured reserve. You only have so much you can utilize for long-term injury, which right now, Nick Paul's on long-term injury, as is Crozier. James is just on regular IR. But, a guy like James is making basically the league minimum. Douglas is making, basically the league minimum. Perry makes $2 million, which is $1 million and a little bit more than $1 million above the league minimum. So
Andrew says, so he isn't having a bad season, 11 goals, 17 assists, and is a +2. I do wonder if this deal is made if James doesn't get hurt. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
This is from Jim. Why would you want to jinx McDavid? Guy has done nothing wrong to this team. All hate should be targeted towards Florida and Kachuk.
What do you mean? How did we jinx McDavid? Is he talking about us?
I don't think so.
I don't really understand the context there. Sorry.
Somebody here, this must be a thread going on. Hope he has the jinx to McDavid when he left the Oilers. So maybe when Perry was with the Oilers.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of that's giving you more context there.
Yeah.
This comes from Danny. A second-round pick feels like an overspend, especially when you need a right-handed center.
Look, that's the market right now. Depth forwards are commanding, we'll call it, high draft picks. Is it a second from this year? I think the Lightning had their second from this year.
I actually haven't seen
available.
that. I have not seen what year it is.
Yeah.
Here's the other question. Do we know when Paul's coming back?
Well, no. I mean, the word was, and I think Coop maybe even said that he was on the ice at one point before the Lightning left on the road trip. But he is also not a long-term injury. He's just on regular IR.
I mean, look, part of this could be he's coming back to fill one of those center spots who can be a face-off guy, too. Maybe they...
And Paul's had a pretty good year in the circle. Right. Look, the fans are like, we need a right-handed centerman. I've been saying that literally for months on the show, that is kind of an area of need. But I've also said that Julien did not prioritize a face-off guy over kind of the makeup of the team. Now, right now, the team is struggling, but Julien is not knee-jerk. So, he hasn't lost kind of sight of what he wants to do. But the reality is there are only so many right-handed face-off guys out there. And, maybe the Lightning kicked the tires on some of them, but it just didn't work. They couldn't make the deal work.
Were we talking about this yesterday, or was there a rumor that Ekman Larsson and Lawton were coming to the Lightning?
Well, I don't know about coming to the Lightning. I think somebody posted that the Lightning might be looking at them. Who knows?
Okay.
I mean, Now Lawton is a center.
Yeah.
But I think Ekman Larsson's contract is probably too much for the Lightning unless they're sending money out.
Yeah.
Posts that they're looking at.
I feel like I had a this goes to show you where my head is. I feel like I had a dream that happened.
That the trade was made.
I have no idea who was going back. But I was like, wait, because I was like, really? They got those two guys? So, look, these days are all kind of coming together. I'm just trying to look at some of the trades. So the Wild acquired Nick Foligno from the Blackhawks.
Yeah, the brothers unite. That's pretty cool. Of course, Marcus is out weeks.
Yeah.
But they've never been teammates before.
That is pretty cool. Playing with your brother, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Bobby Brink to the Wild.
Yep. Now that was somebody had posted like, right? The Lightning might be looking at Bobby Brink. This is one of these. The Lightning are looking at this person. The Lightning are looking at that person. Is it possible, as Eric said, that Julien is doing due diligence and kicking the tires on some of these guys that might be available? Yes, but Bobby Brink went to. Did he go to Minnesota? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm actually on the. I'm on Puckpedia for the Lightning here. It may be a little early for them to have placed
Did I see
Perry
Garland
on the roster.
Did you see Sam Carrick?
Yeah, Sam Carrick went to Buffalo. Now, he is Buffalo. A depth right-handed centerman. Buffalo got him. Buffalo also acquired the two guys who were kept out of the lineup last night for Winnipeg, Luke Schenn and Logan Stanley. So they were unable to get Parayko, but they got two defensemen from Buffalo. James, by the way, is designated here on LTIR, which makes sense. So on LTIR, you have Paul, James, and Crozier. And according to Puckpedia, the Lightning are about $1 million under projected cap space, but they have $3.1 million available in current cap space. So the projected, I don't really know enough about what this means. Like you have a current cap space number and then you have a projected cap space number. So it's possible the Lightning have the cap space to add a Perry, but they're going to have to make moves before the end of the season to be cap compliant. It means they are into LTIR money now. Okay, thank you, Steve. So they can make the deal, in other words.
Garland.
They're just dipping into LTIR. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it makes sense. Garland to the Blue Jackets, who are playing well right now.
To the Blue Jackets, yes. Blue Jackets are playing very well. I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus gets into the top three in the Metro. All of a sudden, the Islanders and the Penguins have lost a couple of games.
You see what Malkin did yesterday to Dahlin?
Well,
Dahlin ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, Dahlin, I didn't see the full clip, but I read somewhere that Dahlin did something, and then Malkin retaliated.
Well, Malkin's got a temper.
Way.
He's got a temper.
Yeah.
So there's probably
it was basically
that.
Swinging slash type situation to the upper
face.
part of the. Well, I was going to say the neck, but it might have been the face.
Who did
Is the neck considered the face? I'm not
I don't know.
sure.
Who is Dahlin? Who did he tick off from the Lightning? I feel there was.
Remember?
That was it. So, I think Dahlin can get under people's skin. I mean, you look at him and you think high pick, offense.
Yeah.
There's a little something there that must go on.
Well, he cross-checked Gonsalves, too.
That's exactly.
Or maybe that's overstating it, but he pushed Gonsalves into the boards. That's when Gonsalves got hurt.
Let's see.
I feel like we're on a trade tracker show
where
we're
Ranger
just
says,
following what's happening along with the fans.
Corey Perry, not what I expected, but the cost is low, and we didn't lose any prospects. I still think we swing the fences for Trocheck. It's still possible, but unlikely. Perry is still solid.
So here's the thing with Trocheck. And this is me begging the question, if that's the right way of putting it. I'm a little unclear as to why the Rangers wanted to trade Trocheck. Now, I'm sure they have their reasons, but here's a guy. Yes, he's not 22. He's 32, but he's 32. Nikita Kucherov is 32. Players have a long runway ahead of them at 32, depending on their history, injury status, all of that. Trocheck looks fine. Trocheck looks like he'll be able to be a productive player through the end of his contract. It is not an onerous contract in the grand scheme of things. It would be a difficult contract for a team that has no cap space to acquire at the deadline. But I kind of come back to this. If you are a team in sell mode, does that mean that you feel you need to sell all of the veteran players on your team to get these goodies? It's I want draft picks, prospects, all this stuff. I remember having a conversation with the Buffalo broadcasters a couple of years ago. This is before the Sabres really burst onto the scene. And they were like, the Sabres are always trading to acquire picks and prospects at the deadline. These picks and prospects eventually turn pro, and they have no veteran leadership around them. They missed that. For example, Ryan O'Reilly played for the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah. You think Ryan O'Reilly would have helped some of these young players when they kind of broke into the NHL? So the point is, I think good teams, veteran teams, are veteran teams for a reason. It's not that they have all veterans. It's that they have some veterans who are there to kind of show the ropes to the younger players. We've heard that from the Lightning D about McDonough and Hedman, how valuable it is to have those guys. So this is about Trocheck, to somewhat the same extent. Robert Thomas, who's rumored to be on the block for St. Louis. Robert Thomas is 26 years old. He's their best forward, all-around forward. So kind of like, do the Rangers really need to move Trocheck? So what was rumored was Minnesota was interested. So Trocheck said, I don't want to go west, but he really meant geographically west, not Western Conference. So Minnesota was not on his no-trade list. And the Rangers, what they were asking for, Minnesota wouldn't give. So the Rangers are like, all right, we're not going to make this deal.
Yeah.
So they don't have to make a deal. The Rangers can hold on to Trocheck. They could trade him during the summer if they wanted to. But I'm like, why are you trading this guy? Panarin's a little bit of a different story. He was on an expiring contract. Anyway, that's just me spitballing. So essentially, it was going to take a tremendous amount to get Trocheck. He may still be traded, and maybe the team that trades him either gave up a tremendous amount or the Rangers said chicken, and, you know, we're getting closer to the deadline. We really want to get something for him now. We're going to take a little bit less. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But I guess my point is that I'm surprised that Trocheck is available, but I'm not surprised that the Rangers are asking for the moon for Trocheck because they have security. They don't have to move him. They can keep him, trade him later, or just hold on to him and say, all right, you know, that we hope the team is going to be better next year, and Trocheck's going to be a big part of that.
By the way, that is not my phone that is going off for those of you who are asking. I have mine on silent if you can hear it in the background. Let me just ask you your personal opinion with Trocheck.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to give up some decent prospects for his services?
Yeah.
I think I would too. Because
I mean, again, I'm not in management. I would not move Sam O'Reilly. We talked about that. I think that
even if you had Trocheck for a few years.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I wouldn't. But you're saying prospects. And so I think Trocheck has enough value as a right-handed centerman who's great on faceoffs and a great player and a versatile player who can play in all situations. He can be in your top six. Yeah. He can score, he can pass, he can defend. He has playoff experience. He checks a lot of boxes, not just for the Lightning, but for any team. And his contract, as I said, is not like a cap-busting contract. It's not. Just difficult to make it work at the deadline in a season in which, you know, the Lightning and some other teams don't have a lot of room to make the contract work. But I think he has tremendous value.
Well, the other thing, too, is how many contending teams have not only the prospects but the cap space to fit him in right now. And I think the Lightning... So if you trade for Trocheck, you're a team that has to be willing to obviously do both. And that's a hard ask. So maybe in the offseason, is that something more likely to get done if that would be the case?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Trocheck... I mean, is it safe to say, even on a contending team, he's a number one center?
On some teams, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's kind of what you're getting. You're not getting a third-line center who's going to play 10 minutes a night.
That's why the Rangers are the Rangers should be asking for a lot.
If you think faceoffs are a big deal and all of a sudden you get Trocheck who comes in, and would you say he's in the top 5 in faceoffs?
Well, he's not in the top 5 statistically, but I think he's coming in around 55%, which is
he's better than anybody the Lightning have. I mean, maybe that's the better way to say it.
He is.
So, you know... I think that would probably...
But I will say this, Greg, and this is just me speaking. If the Rangers are like, it has to be Sam O'Reilly, I'd be like, thank you, no. Because I think you have a right-handed center who is, by all indications, the sort of player that will be a terrific player at the NHL level. He may not score 30, 35 goals, but he is going to be your prototypical defensive-minded two-way player. That's what we hear about him, who can score.
Yeah.
And play in the top 6 potentially. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch him play as much. I'm just relaying to you what we heard from Julien at the Fireside Chat, and Eric kind of echoed those same sentiments yesterday. What we heard from the Lightning was They are over the moon to have this guy in the organization.
Yeah.
And as much as I like Trocheck, he is 32. You know, Sam O'Reilly is 19 turning 20.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a fair question to say at some point you've got to look to the future a little bit, but some would say the Lightning have done that.
Yeah. And, you know, Julian's been consistent about saying, you know, a draft pick, we don't know what that draft pick is going to turn into. We don't know who that draft pick is going to be. This is different. O'Reilly is no longer a projected draft pick. He is a player. Like, the pick has been made, right? The Lightning have the player. They see the player's trajectory. They understand the value of the player. That is different than trading away a second-round pick.
Yeah.
So we often talk about picks and prospects. They're not exactly the same depending on the prospect, depending on what you know about the player who has actually been picked. This pick was not, by all indications, a swing and a miss. This is the opposite. So you asked me my opinion. I gave it. Who knows what's going to happen in the deadline? I'm sitting in a hotel room giving you my opinion. I'm not at some kind of like decision desk with a phone.
You're not at the decision desk? You don't have something in your ear?
Well, I guess that's more the
Steve, ask if Julien can come on real quick. I know he's not busy.
Yes, he's not busy at all.
He's not getting it done.
Barry would be coming from
honestly,
LA. I don't know if he's going to get on a plane today, but I would expect that he'll play tomorrow for the Lightning. One deal
By the way,
done.
tonight,
we got 2.5 hours left before the deadline. So,
but while you're waiting, enjoy some Reif Rum.
Yes.
Smooth, versatile, now pouring at Benchmark International Arena. Order a Tropical Wave or a Lightning Mule and taste why fans are switching. Reif Rum is a premium craft Florida local rum built on authenticity, quality, and easy drinkability. Ask for Reif Rum by name. Go Bolts. Please enjoy responsibly. Hungry for says, oh, this is a good one. We have to put this one up here. Hungry for power lunch. I need some Reif Rum after that one, boys.
That was very difficult to watch.
The
Lightning bumbling their way through the first two periods and just serving up turnover after turnover after turnover, just errant passes that were going down the ice for icings.
Mutt says Buffalo also looks dangerous. They got better at the deadline. Yeah, they're definitely going for it. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. So this is what I'm going to say about Buffalo. The Lightning see them on Sunday. I think Buffalo is an excellent team. I was impressed with them when we saw both games, actually. They won decisively in the second game, but they looked good in the first game, too. They are on some kind of roll. Jarmo Kekalainen is like, okay, I want to make moves at the deadline. Let's see how these moves may affect Buffalo. Sometimes you don't want to upset the apple cart. Now, the guys they sent back in the Winnipeg trade were Isak Rosén, who was kind of a tweener guy. I mean, he played in the first game against the Lightning, but didn't play in the second. And Jacob Bryson, who was kind of their seventh defenseman. I mean, he was in, he was out. Depending on who else was healthy. So it's not like they traded core pieces away. But you are adding guys now. How are they going to integrate? They're really in a groove right now. I mean, they're playing like the Lightning were playing during really much of the season, but especially during the 19-1-1 stretch where they're just imposing their will on the other team, basically doing what they want to do. So I still believe at some point Buffalo will exhale before the end of the regular season, and they're going to get in the playoffs, and it should be a very dangerous playoff team. But again, we're looking on paper like, okay, they added this guy, they added that guy, they added Sam Carrick. How are they going to make it all work? Is it going to jive? Is it going to mess up the good mojo that they have going on right now? Temporarily, but I mean, I'm not suggesting Buffalo is doing what Montreal did in the 2014-15 season, which was the year the Lightning played the Canadiens in the second round. They're in the same division, of course, just like now. Montreal finished first. Lightning finished second. I want to say Montreal added go back and look. They added 8 guys at the deadline. And they were like, this guy makes us better. This guy makes us better. This guy makes us better. And I'm not sure that many moves really helped them. Like, it completely changed the vibe of their team. And the Lightning ended up beating them in the second round of the playoffs. So sometimes you can be too busy at the deadline. I'm not suggesting that's what's happening in Buffalo, but I'm just like, they're playing so well right now with the lineup that they have. Now you're going to be bringing in some new players. They're going to play Logan Stanley for sure. I mean, he's having a very good year. I think they're going to play Sam Carrick.
Yeah.
Shen, they may look to work him in. I mean, he's a righty. I think that they're pretty well set on the right side because Samuelson plays the right side, but we'll see what they decide to do. Those guys should be in the lineup, or at least with Buffalo when the Lightning see them on Sunday.
There hasn't been another player who has reinvented himself over the last 7 to 8 years than Luke Shen. Everybody, whenever he came
Corey
over
Perry,
to the Lightning,
maybe, though. I think you're going to say Corey Perry.
No, Luke Shen, I mean, remember when he got to the Lightning, he was playing in the minors. And he came up and found himself playing a pretty significant role and was dynamic.
Yeah.
For them in his way. And then, you know, he was a guy that often was acquired at the trade deadline a couple of times.
Winnipeg did it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was moved. Was he moved to Pittsburgh and then Pittsburgh sent him to Winnipeg?
And then
I'm
Pittsburgh
trying to remember.
Sent him. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Good memory. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, he's just allowed himself to stay in the league, and his skill sets are such that guys like that sometimes find themselves out of the league. He's not the fastest guy.
No, but he's smart enough to know his limitations, honestly, and incorporate those limitations into his overall game so he doesn't get put in a tough spot.
Yeah. Incredible. So it is very interesting as the trades will continue to roll in. We will take more questions. We'll say call this Sawyer. I don't like the trade, but Julian is a smart GM. I have a feeling a big trade is going to happen.
We'll see. Time is growing thin. We're a little over 2 hours away from the deadline, meaning when no more trades can happen. So,
Go Blue says Bjorkstrand doesn't fit in our system. I mean,
look, he's having a good power play year. I mean, he is. He may get to double-digit power play goals this season.
Yeah.
I just think that he hasn't done enough 5-on-5. He hasn't. I don't know if that means he doesn't fit our system. I think that that's kind of use this term again, a broad stroke.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, look, it's an easy target, so to speak, but I think all in all, when you take a look at Bjorkstrand, he was brought in to be dynamic, I think, offensively. And then maybe I'm painting that with a broad brush, but he's an offensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people feel like it just hasn't happened, which is why, you know, they take a look at things and say, well, you know, maybe a change of scenery would. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Let's take some more questions. Zebra says, lots of fans calling for Oliver to be shipped. Could you see that happening? Perry just replaced Bjorkstrand on the power play.
Well, Perry's not going to be at the left
What do you
circle.
think?
Perry would be in front of the net. And Gensel right now is kind of the guy in front of the net. So I don't know. That's Jeff Halpern's decision about how he wants to use Perry. But
I mean, Perry's
he's used
effective.
Perry before.
Yeah.
Perry was a regular for the Lightning when Perry was with the Lightning for the 2 years during the 6-on-5 for sure. When the Lightning pulled the goalie, Perry was out there and being a big pain in the rear end in front of the net.
Sure. That makes sense. I mean, that's kind of what he does. That's why he gets paid what he gets paid, and he's been really effective for a long time. So,
honestly, it's a low-risk move. I know we had the one fan with like second-round pick. I mean, the Lightning have second-round picks. Actually, let me look because I pulled up Puckpedia. So they have a second-round pick in each of the next 3 years. I'm not looking past 2028.
Yeah.
I don't know what year the second round pick was that, was returned in the trade. We'll have to wait for the press release or somebody to break the news. But
At Bolts Radio, if you want to get involved in the conversation, you certainly can. What are the questions we have coming in? I don't know if I've seen anything breaking right now. Just going to check the trade ticker. Nothing really updated there.
by the way, I did see that midnight last night was the time when teams could expand the roster. You still have to be cap compliant.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be at 23. For sure, it's after the trade deadline, but I think it actually went into effect essentially at, midnight last night. Or midnight this morning, essentially.
Tactics says the only thing smoother than Reif Rum was that segue. You're darn right it was.
I don't know. Is Reif Rum getting more bang for its buck when the Lightning are playing well or not well? I need some Reif Rum to, absorb this last loss.
Go Blue says, thank you for all you do, guys. Love you. We had said, somebody said, can you go till 3 today? I don't know. I'm tired. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I will tell you, we rolled into the hotel last night.
You're probably tired.
I basically got into bed. It was 3:30 in the morning. So the team has the day off today. So we've got the game tomorrow at 7, which is Saturday at 7 in Toronto is never at 7. I don't know that it's going to be 7:45, but it's going to be like 7:15 or something like that. And then the Lightning are busing to Buffalo. So you cross the border actually on the ground. 7:15. Thank you, Steve. This is a little different than when you're in an airplane. Kind of customs is coming on the plane sometimes, or you go into a little office and it's just you because you're in an airport terminal. This is a main thoroughfare on the road. So it's going to take maybe a little bit longer. I think we've done this once or twice where we bust from Toronto to Buffalo, but it makes sense to bust because it's like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lightning are losing an hour as well because of daylight savings. So this is not an easy back-to-back from that regard. Now, where are the Maple Leafs? Of the 2 games, we have one team that has basically raised the white flag, trading players, holding out players like Lawton, for example. I think they held out Bobby McMahon recently. They're losing games. They're in a major rut. But if the Lightning don't play well, they will lose. They could lose. Then on Sunday, you got maybe the hottest team in the NHL that is carrying all kinds of swag right now and confidence. And the Lightning happen to see them after a more difficult travel situation than we would normally have because of daylight savings. The Sabres, I think they play Nashville on Saturday, but I'm pretty certain that's an afternoon game and they play them at home. So they aren't going to have the issue with the travel and the losing an hour is going to affect them less. It's a 5:30 game. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. So it's still a little bit earlier.
We appreciate that.
Yep.
Let's see. More questions coming in. We had somebody, and I've seen a lot of this, basically, that we gave up too much, and we meaning the Lightning. TK says, I can only hope this is something that's part of a larger trade. Otherwise, this ranks up there with the 15 first-rounders we gave the Preds for Jeannot.
Oh, come on. So speaking plainly, this second-round pick, if it's this year, and maybe I shouldn't even say because we don't know if it's this year, generally where the Lightning are drafting is in certainly the bottom half and often in the bottom third. So I'm just going to say this. If it's this year, this is a late second-round pick.
Yeah.
I think Corey Perry will help their team this year.
I would agree. Yeah.
So I'm not really buying they gave up too much. This is what the market is. And Julien does not have any special allegiance to draft picks. And he has explained why. I mean, he doesn't he doesn't say I don't want any draft picks, but the way he looks at draft picks, it's part of the capital that he can utilize to get a player now. And a draft pick is the promise of a player. It's not even a player. It's not it's not a prospect that has been drafted and you know who that player is. So, and the other thing I'll mention, Greg, we talked about this quite a bit. The Lightning been able to offset some of like the empty cupboard in terms of just draft picks because they've traded a lot of draft picks because they have one of the best development programs in the NHL. Proof is in the pudding from what we've seen, how they've developed players. So you can have a blue chip prospect, but if the prospect doesn't develop, unless he's just so immensely talented that it doesn't really matter, they're going to be great no matter what. But a lot of players need seasoning. So the Lightning have been able to get some NHLers from players that were drafted lower. They picked up as free agents, as opposed to other teams that have higher draft picks and those players don't make the NHL.
Yeah.
Not saying that they were drafted too high, but they didn't really. The idea was that their potential was going to put them at a certain spot, and for whatever reason, it didn't come together for them. So I'm not crying any tears over a second round pick for Corey Perry. I think Corey will help the Lightning this year.
I think a lot of people with the Lightning, because of how the team performed, there is the perception that they are going to do something big because they have an opportunity to win the cup, and that Julien, you can debate what you think is considered a big trade, but I think a lot of people would look at Julien's history and say, do you think he's made bigger trades compared to smaller trades at the deadline? And I think the answer to that would be, yeah, I think he's swung.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might not think Tanner Jeannot was a Vinny Trocheck, but in terms of what the Lightning gave up and the significance of that, for the Lightning, that was a very big deal.
Right.
Like
and the fans said
him.
This is just like, it's not just like the Jeannot deal. The Lightning gave up one draft pick. They didn't give up five by give up. They didn't trade 5 draft picks for one player. Now, Tanner Jeannot was early in his career and Perry isn't, but I don't know. This is on par with what we're seeing. The other part is like, this is a seller's market. When you have a seller's market, the price tag is very, very high.
Second round pick in 2028.
All right, so it's even 2 years down the road.
I mean, come on. That's why I don't.
It's possible the Lightning may subsequently get a second round pick back from that year. I mean, we've seen that sometimes. They move somebody else and they get the pick.
Right.
Not the same pick, but, they get a pick in that round. We've seen that before.
I know people get married to younger players, and you want to think that you're going to get the best possible outcome from those prospects. I get it. And especially when your minor league system doesn't rank as highly as some others, and then you start to see some guys who are getting a lot of publicity that may be good NHLers. You fans get attached to prospects. I was one of them. I told you this when I was a young lad.
Pittsburgh Pirates, top prospect pool every year.
I knew it all. I could tell you exactly who the prospect was. I did shows on it. I mean, it was ridiculous. But you come to learn. I mean, baseballs might be different because I think it's the hardest sport, particularly if you're a hitter. I mean, a lot of guys flame out. I mean, when I say flame out, you get to AAA, you may be a really good player. You just, you can't hit a major league curveball, whatever that is, right? You realize that for every, if they give you the top 20 prospects in your system, maybe 1 or 2 end up being legitimate major league players. And sometimes it's not the number 1 overall prospect in your camp. And I'm saying that to you because I think sometimes everybody is like that this guy, we pick the best version of what they're going to be. Isaac Howard's going to be a top 6 forward. We hope that's the case. How often does it really happen, though?
Yeah.
And so if Julien has an opportunity to acquire, and again, I'm giving an example. It's not out there set in stone. To get a Vinny Trocheck for prospects and picks, if I'm close to winning a cup, which, again, understand, folks, this is the Lightning's goal. I don't know if Julien necessarily cares what's going to happen a decade from now, or maybe even 5 years from now. His goal is to win a cup. And if you feel like Trocheck, and again, this is just an example, is that guy, and it's going to come at the cost of some prospects, my opinion is this. I would make the deal. Because I think you have enough prospects and younger players who have come up who can at least bridge the gap until you get another wave of young players coming through the system. The goal is to win the championship. It's to win the Stanley Cup. I think Vinny Trocheck moves that needle more than most. Corey Perry, for me, moves it a little bit, and that's fine. You only gave up a second-round pick. Totally okay with it. But to bring in another big name, fans are going to have to understand you're probably going to have to give up somebody you've been following down in Syracuse, maybe up here, and then you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? And I think that's the hardest emotional detachment as a fan that you are trying to experience.
And let me just follow up on that, which, look, I'm kind of in an agreement with you that, you said, would you trade a prospect to get Trocheck or prospects? I would say yes. But there comes a point where you can't just get involved in the silly season. Like, you have to keep a cool head about what is being asked. And the fact that we have a seller's market means that the price tag is even higher for what some of these teams want that are moving players. And Julien may be interested in adding players, but he is not willing to make the deal work at the expense of the long-term health of the organization. That's the way I would put it. So it may just be that the market is not suitable for the Lightning right now to make the sort of deal that I think the fans are like, Julian's going to make a big splash. Like, we're hearing that from the fans. He may be interested in doing it, but he's not just going to do it, right? He's not going to trade away something that he feels is more valuable than what he is getting back. Maybe that's the way I should put it. Everybody defines value in their own way, but I think that's one reason why, like, people were like, this is going to be the busiest trade deadline ever, like we were hearing that a few days ago. This has not been, to this point, to me, it doesn't seem like it's been a particularly busy trade deadline.
Well, the crazy season,
how many top players have been moved? I mean, last year, Rantanen got moved, right?
Yeah.
That was a huge deal.
We may see more of that in the offseason.
Right, but we're talking about the deadline right now.
Correct. That's what I mean.
For this season.
The crazy season, you don't want to get caught up in it, and maybe that's it right now. Because you have some teams who are desperate to make a push and are willing, and the team that's selling knows that. Let's get one last call in here. Trade talk is interesting, guys. This is Aaron, but this team looks very bad right now. I need to see something different in these next 2 games.
Or what? I mean, all right, so maybe they lose these next 2 games and they have a 6-game losing streak. Doesn't mean they're on the verge of missing the playoffs. It doesn't mean that they still can't turn it around when they come home. So, yes, they need to get better. I don't know that we are going to say, like, if they don't get better in the next 2 games, the season is lost.
Yeah.
It's not. There are teams that are rolling right now, too, that may hit a rut between now and the end of the regular season.
Yep.
We don't have a long way to go, but we still do have a long way to go. I was thinking about this, Greg. You know how long this losing streak has lasted for the Lightning?
Tell me.
8 days. We rolled into the hotel and, like, it was a week ago yesterday that the Lightning were in Carolina with a 21-1 record. So the games come quickly. The Lightning's quality of play has been low. They've deserved what they've gotten. But we're basically talking about a week plus. That's really nothing. We've got several weeks left. The Lightning have time to turn this around. So I'm not a big fan of, like, arbitrary lines in the sand about, like, or what? The fan is going to stop watching, paying attention.
You said 8 days a week. I thought we were going to sing some Beatles.
Yeah, well, we mentioned the Beatles the other day.
8 days a week.
That's another good
go.
one.
Let's go.
Anyway, keep a steady hand. I know it's very easy not to as fans. And look, I was getting frustrated last night too. I don't like seeing them not play well. Way below their standard, way below what we've seen for most of the season. But they do have time to figure this out and turn it around. And I'll repeat what I said several times already in the show. I think the addition of Corey Perry will help their team.
Yeah.
So.
Just in time for Buffalo.
Just in time for Buffalo. Yes.
Get a little fire
and Toronto.
there. Yeah, for sure. All right, partner, great job. As always, you and I, if something does happen, probably can touch on it briefly during our pregame back and forth if it's big enough. But then we'll have a recap on Monday.
Yes.
For our show, noon to 1. And I'm sure our fans will have an opportunity to reach out and we'll talk about it. But it was a lot of people tuned in for this episode. I can tell you that. So
thanks
we
for the
appreciate
contributions, fans.
100%. And partner, I will catch you tomorrow for the broadcast.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Great work. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you guys. As always, thanks to Steve Versnick. I am Greg Linnelli. You've been listening to Power Lunch on Lightning Radio.